Story 1. My sister and I dressed up as Zatanna for a convention. A guy asked to take our picture together. Our breasts accidentally touched, and he outright moaned. Joke's on him, I'm flat-chested, so those breasts were filled with socks. Story 2. Pyramid Head. A whole slew of reasons ranging from it is very hard to move, see, eat, drink, literally anything, and this is the complaint with just the head. Now add in a skirt or dress-like bottom and the sword. It is very uncomfortable to walk, hard to sit down, and if the weather makes a slight turn to cold, you really have no way to put something on that doesn't look completely ridiculous. Story 3. I tried three-dimensional printing an entire Iron Man armor. Took forever to get just the arms, and they look terrible. Edit, well, this took off. If anyone comes across my post, this is what the final product looks like. I should point out that the forearms on the left of the last picture are glued together, so that's the final product. Story 4. Not exactly cosplay, but I went to a Halloween party as Waldo once. Terrible idea. Everyone wants you hiding in the back of their photos, and you hear, haha, I found you, at least 800 times. Never again. Story 5. Professor X, the only reason I chose it was because I had torn my lateral collateral ligament and still wanted to attend the event. So I rented a wheelchair so I could get around the event. So many people came up and sat in my lap thinking I was just cosplaying as him. Thank goodness my friend's parents lived close, and we went and grabbed ice packs that we threw on my knee so people would quit doing it. Story 6. Slender Man. I got really into the craze back in the day being a 6 feet 3 inches skinny dude, and I thought of myself highly for having been a Marble Hornets fan car before the game was ever released. The issue is that I have a big head and nose, so through the morph suit you just see all my features, including my dark brown hair and smushed nose. I ended up having a sore nose for days, and the soles of my morph suit were extremely darkened from walking around in platform boots for hours on end. Story 7. I decided to use a privacy screen as the screen part and couldn't see more than about 3 feet in front of me at certain mathematically significant angles and 0 degrees at other angles. Story 8. Dr. Roxo. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah. The real reason is that while it's fun, I have no place to put anything. No pockets, nowhere to store cash or ID, and if it's cold, forget about it. Also, seriously, nobody wants to see that. I kept it screen accurate, no kid-friendly steps, and I wore it to age-appropriate events. Edit. Okay, I may bring it out this coming year. It seems like there'd be enough of a positive response to warrant it. Story 9. Back in college, I had long curly hair, and a girl who was amused by it straightened it and used hairspray to get it to stick straight up. Then I used black spray on it, though it was so big, I would have been better off going Super Saiyan. After college, I chopped my hair, so it was impossible to do it justice again. Story 10. Graffiti skin tracer from Overwatch. Paint kept transferring from the gas mask onto my face, and my mask was literally dripping water from my breathing. It was hot, stuffy, and gross. Edit. I don't know how to add pictures on mobile, but I'm pretty sure I have some far enough down my Instagram feed at burnt_waffles_cosplay. Story 11. Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. Not because of awkward guy comments, but because other lady cosplayers would come up to me and talk about how Faye is a good starter cosplay because I guess it's not intricate enough. I got tired of the condescension. Story 12. Stormtrooper. It was custom made to fit me, and I was so uncomfortable in it. It was hot, and I couldn't see. I also would be lucky if I came out of it without cutting myself. Story 13. Darth Vader wore it for years in 2-hour stints. Vision is awful and no skin is shown anywhere, so it's hot. Really hot. Lots of wiring for lights and sound mean there's always something that can, and does, go wrong. Lots of kids come up and randomly press buttons on the chest. Plus, the cape is hard to control. Now, I keep him permanently displayed on a 6'5" mannequin. Story 14. I use a wheelchair and I was a Dalek 1 year. It was very popular and I had a lot of people wanting pictures, but I couldn't fit through doorways and kept hitting people. It was huge because my wheelchair was huge and it had to fit around all the parts of it, then taper up to be thinner at the top. It was a very fun craft project that took a lot of manpower and time, but in hindsight, using cardboard was not the wisest idea because the second any moisture got on it, it lost a lot of its stiffness. Live and learn. Story 15. I did a One Punch Man cosplay at Comic-Con. I swear, about an hour in, a guy who was playing one of the enemy characters from the first season. I believe the leader of the aliens that invaded on that huge ship came sprinting down the walkway and punched me square in the stomach as hard as he could. I unconsciously tensed my muscles, so that absorbed a lot of the impact. Even though it looked like I was fine, I felt like both my lungs had collapsed and about 3 ribs had punctured my stomach. Story 16. Princess Zelda. I got a lot of compliments, but also an uncomfortable number of guys kept trying to flirt with me. Might have been even weirder if I wasn't a straight dude. Story 17. I once went to a Halo convention as Church from Red vs. Blue. Midway through the convention, I had one of my friends pretend to kill me. I felt so bad for him because everyone was screaming at him, "You killed Church, you team-killing idiot. If I ever do it again, I'll claim to be Epsilon instead." Story 18. Lucy Heartfilia from Fairy Tale. So, the costume itself wasn't the problem. It's pretty simple to be fair, but it had other issues. Firstly, I have small breasts and the character doesn't. The number of people that mentioned this was unreal. Secondly, the character wears a very short skirt. I had a few older men follow me and harass me because I was wearing it. Also, it was mid-October in the north of Scotland, so it was freezing cold. Edit, clarity. Edit 2. Thank you all for showing support and sharing your own experiences. You are a good group. Story 19. Lord Business from the Lego Movie, or actually any Lego character for that matter. The head was too heavy, and I could barely move. Edit. Okay, wow. I didn't quite expect this comment to get as much attention, but thank you for the gold. Story 20. Snow White. I wore it to a major comic convention, and people would not let me walk. Parents were literally shoving their children into my arms and making me take pictures with their kids. Children were flocking to me, and parents were pushing each other around to take a picture with me and their child first. I was trying to take the shuttle to the convention, and I had a small crowd around me that would barely shift so I could get into the shuttle. My boyfriend at the time had to literally yank me and run away into the shuttle because we almost missed it. The same thing happened in the shuttle, off the shuttle, while attempting to walk to the convention, and at the convention. After 2 more hours of this, I demanded we go back to the hotel so I could change and actually enjoy the convention. The worst part was people shouting, "It's Cinderella! It's Sleeping Beauty! No people, no. I'm Snow White. Dang it." Story 21. Literally any kid's character. Parents need to control their children at conventions. The number of times I've had kids pull at capes or sneeze on my costume or whatever is infuriating. Story 22. No face from Spirited Away. At least not in public. I was accused of racism, asked to leave the subway, then taken aside by a very angry subway security employee and had to frantically find a photo of No Face to show him to avoid more trouble. In fairness, he then was very concerned and helpful and advised me to take the costume off before I got myself beaten up by someone. My hometown has a very big Arabic population, so I can see why they thought I was being an asshole, what with the black cloak, black paint on my arms, and the gold-painted pebbles in my hands. Story 23. Out of all the costumes I have made, the most awkward is definitely Elma from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I have always worn her to summer conventions, and my horn would fall off every time. But the worst time was when it literally broke off and left residual model magic on my forehead. Also, the fabric I used for the tail stained me blue. Tanks. Ioiohan. Story 24. Sailor Moon. I felt beautiful and powerful, but the groping and upskirt pictures were repugnant. Edit blush. Thanks for all the kind words and sympathy. I don't have any fantastic pictures, but this captures most of the details. Story 25. Shadow the Hedgehog. It was a mistake, and I don't think I need to explain further. Edit. Thanks for the gold. And no, I didn't do blackface for those wondering. Story 26. Edna, from The Incredibles. I am a short gothic lady and at the time had the same haircut as her. Went as her for a Halloween party and it's been my nickname ever since. Especially when I'm angry. I really hate it. Edit. Oh my gosh. My first popular comment is about my nickname and I'm freaking out. Also, I hate it because I also see the similarities between us and it makes me mad because I wanted to be Violet when the movie came out. Thanks, Reddit. Story 27. Back when the Assassin's Creed games were popular, I cosplayed as one of the assassins with a few of my friends who were also assassins. For example, one of us was Connor, one was Ezio, another was Edward, and so on. I spent a lot of time on those costumes and props, so I have no problem saying they looked good. We got a lot of attention, including getting stopped for literal hours at the PlayStation booth for pictures because a few other assassins joined, and we had the whole family. The problem? I am a girl, and a short one at that. My friends who cosplayed with me are tall boys. So at the risk of looking like a pop vinyl next to them, I had to wear boots with a significant heel to help give me some height. It was brutal. We only got tickets for one day, and it was hours spent on our feet in poses, and we had to stop every few feet for pictures. Don't get me wrong, the pictures were awesome. It made all the time and effort worth it, but I was in absolute agony. At one point, when we all took a bathroom break, I took off my boots and put my throbbing feet on the cold tile floor. Judge me all you want, it felt amazing. Thankfully, some people who wanted to take pictures with me noticed I was in pain and out of costume and just chatted with me and waited to take pictures until after I got the boots back on. I had to call it quits early and missed out on looking around as much as I would have liked. Even trying to leave the huge convention center was slow because I kept getting stopped. When I finally got back to the hotel and took my boots off, I had huge blisters on the top of my feet, on my heels everywhere. It ruined the rest of the weekend for me. A couple of years later, I went as Lara Croft from the newer games and got to wear flat, grippy boots with a nice gel insert. It was heaven. Story 28. I dressed up in a pun costume that was a mix between Inspector Gadget and a go-go dancer. I was Go-Go Gadget. I had neon fishnets, string lights in my trench coat, light-up glasses, and all these other rave gadgets. I wouldn't do it again because wearing Heelys for hours tore up my feet. Edit, this blew up. I went to work and came back to all this. Most of you want to see the costume. I didn't get many pictures, but here's a decent one. Story 29. Made a pretty great Solaire of Astora costume with real chainmail and armor, and after 6 hours of wearing that heavy metal, my back, shoulders, and arms were really wrecked. Edit wow first gold. Praise the sun. Story 30 Master Chief. Every Halloween at school, I would wear an over-the-top costume, and for my senior year I wanted to go above and beyond. So I worked overtime to buy Halo 4 Master Chief armor. The only problem was that the armor pieces were made of plastic, so I couldn't sit completely down without breaking the thigh pieces. I had to go through every class squatting over my seat instead of actually sitting in it. My legs were killing me by the end of the day. Also, my costume was very loud. The sound of plastic rubbing against each other was terrible. Now, I usually go for smaller cosplay. This year, I went as a vault dweller and I could actually move and stuff. Story 31. Widowmaker. I felt like my tits were gonna pop out of that suit at any second. And the body paint and tattoos were always rubbing off because of the suit and armor. Also, someone bumped into me and broke the end piece of my gun and a piece of my armor. It was so uncomfortable. Never again. Story 32. Nobody knows how to behave around Harley. Not enthusiastic Harley fans. Not Joker impersonators who are too in character. Not individuals who want to test your Harley knowledge. Not other Harley cosplayers who have an issue with the version of Harley you chose or how accurate your costume is. Every Harley I've met has faced criticism for their cosplay for one reason or another. I only did a Lego Harley twice and faced minimal issues, but I've met multiple Suicide Squad Harleys who were harassed online and faced hostility at conventions by people who disliked the character. Never again. Instead of just posting a simple thanks, how about I expand on my experiences as a Harley cosplayer? I attended 2 events as Harley, a convention and Harley Quinn Day, at a comic book shop as a paid performer. My cosplay was handmade except for the wig and lacked Lego Harley's pads, but the colors were accurate and the wig was well styled. At the convention, there weren't many problems. I had a persistent Joker who followed me around, repeatedly getting too close and wrapping an arm around me. But I was never genuinely fearful because we were always in a crowded space. I had a few people ask me which Harley I was, or critique my original design before I explained that I was Harley from the Lego movie. At no point did I feel like I should stop cosplaying Harley. It wasn't that bad. I had a worse time that weekend when I cosplayed a podcast character that nobody recognized. Working the event is what made me reconsider the cosplay. I worked alongside 2 other Harleys, meeting and greeting people coming in for Harley Quinn merchandise and taking pictures. We were promised $20 each for 3 hours of our time. It wasn't terrible. Most cosplay performers do it for fun and will participate in certain events for free if they like the gig. The email stated we could choose store credit or cash up front. Remember that. I got to talk to the other 2 Harleys between photos, and they shared horror stories. One mentioned she had been featured on cringe pages, which led to harassment and online attacks because she cosplayed Suicide Squad Harley, and people are quick to label Suicide Squad Harleys as fake fans or not real cosplayers. The other mentioned that she was doing her makeup in the bathroom at a con, and someone cosplaying the original Harley criticized her, saying she'd never do Suicide Squad Harley because it's trashy. By the end of the event, the owner of the comic shop shortchanged us. He gave us each 3 $5 coupons to the shop. I had to show the email to prove he'd offered us cash. After all that, I was done with Harley. It's a shame. I spent a lot on the wig.